Celtics had it, they lost it, and had it again, and then lost it again. Jaylen Brown was awesome. This man needs some help, but he's probably not going to get it, and I'll explain why on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
There, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And I talk about your team, the Boston Celtics, every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts like this one. This is a bonus podcast because the Celtics played on Saturday night, lost on Saturday night. But I got you covered after every game. So make sure you're subscribed. The show is free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. If you're new to the show, I am John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering this team in some form for 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about the Celtics as well. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers, you get $5. You can get $300 in bonus bets when that first bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. The Celtics had this game. They were up by 12. They were down by 12. And then they tied it up. And then they lost. So the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Celtics by 4. We'll get into Jaylen Brown's help and why it's probably not coming later. I'm going to do 3 segments. Normally I'm a bonus podcast. I sometimes I do like 10 minutes. Sometimes it'll be 20. This is a full podcast. I have a lot to say after this podcast. And later on, it'll be about the help and why it's just so inconsistent and probably not coming and why some of that stuff is unfair. We'll get into the individual stuff. Jaylen Brown and Neemias Queta, 2 big performances in their own way. Let's just start with the big story, the big thing, which is the tale of 2 halves for the Boston Celtics. The first half was fantastic. In fact, the beginning of the third quarter, it stretched into that. They were incredible. The shot making was insane at the beginning of this game, the first half of this game. They put up 69 points in the first half, 56% shooting, 41% from 3. It was awesome. Second half, they scored 46 points on 36.5% shooting, 29% from 3. That is bad. That's a bad half. So they went from an awesome half to a bad half. The first half was kind of an efficient offense. Jaylen Brown was cooking, man. He was cooking. And part of why the offense was working so great, and it wasn't just Jaylen, but it was mostly Jaylen, they did a couple of things. They were the killer whales in this one. They were attacking Mike Conley. They were going right after Rudy Gobert, and they were getting kind of whatever they wanted. The Neemias Queta success going at Gobert was really good. I mean, they really capitalized on when he was dropping into, like that deep drop coverage, like he likes to, like they have him do because he's protecting the rim. They took advantage of that. Jaylen Brown was just crushing from the mid-range. When he came up to the level of the screen, Queta was rolling back door and they hit him and they made him pay. The problem is the Celtics got away from that. And I have to go back and look. I want to see that second half, how they were being maybe defended differently. I know that the Timberwolves went with different looks. And, maybe Jaden McDaniels had something to do with it and how Jaylen was being guarded, but they had everything working the way they wanted it to work. And then in the second half, the third quarter started with a roll, like a pick and roll. Jaylen hit Queta when Gobert came up, and Queta rolled down the right side and went in for the dunk. And I was like, man, these guys are getting anything. It's whatever they want. They're getting it right now. And then it kind of went away. And that, I think, caused the entire thing to start crumbling. And they were missing shots. I don't think they were getting the same quality shots. The Timberwolves starting hitting shots, and that was a big reason why things started to change. The 12-point deficit was entirely in the third quarter. It was entirely by the difference in 3-pointers. At one point, the Timberwolves were up by 12, and they had hit 4 more 3-pointers than the Celtics in that quarter since it was tied. So obviously, like, the difference right there is 12 points just from the 3-point makes. The Timberwolves ended up making 21 of 48 from 3, and the Celtics were 16 of 46. That right there. So you lose by 4, and you have that huge a difference in the 3-point margin. That's going to be part of the problem, right? That's going to give you a real uphill battle. The Celtics took 96 shots in this game. That's something that Joe Mazzulla is going to love. Like, that part is good. The Timberwolves only got 83. So the Celtics ended up making more baskets, 45 to the 41 that Minnesota made. The difference in this game is the 3-point line, where Minnesota hit 5 more 3-pointers, and the free throw line, where Minnesota hit 7 more free throws. So the Celtics not only got 5 fewer, which is not a big deal, but 15 free throws, which is not a lot, and 9 makes. Now, Jaylen Brown was upset after the game because he took 32 shots, and a lot of them were mid-range, but only 4 free throws, which is it's a big disparity. He continues to be upset about this. I still say, look, I said it on the podcast the other day, but when he went onto his live stream on Twitch and started like spewing a whole lot of stuff about refs and like going down some conspiracy theory stuff with certain guys get certain calls and they don't want this and they want that and all of that stuff. Don't tell me that the refs don't see that stuff. And the league didn't fine him. And so now I think that Jaylen is kind of reaping what you sow, right? It's that meme. It's like when you're sowing, it's like, hell yeah. And then when it's time to reap what you sow, it's like, oh man, this sucks. And this is what's happening with Jaylen. I think that there's some of that for sure. Now, some of it is also he takes a lot of mid-range jumpers. That's the thing that he's known for doing now. He's in that mid-range. He's shooting like 52, 53% in that mid-range. He's shooting 55% on step backs. He's taking and making a lot of step back 3-pointer. I mean, not 3-pointers, but some 3-pointers, but step back jumpers. And you don't get fouled on a lot of those. So I don't expect him to be up at like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander levels, but I do think there are a couple of plays where he's getting hit and he probably has a point, but should have kept your mouth shut. Should have kept your mouth shut. And the more you talk about it, it's not going to help anything. It's just not. But knowing Jaylen Brown, he is probably going to be like, you know what? That's going to make me want to talk even more. He's going to be like, yeah, like if me, like the last thing that Jaylen Brown, I think as a human being wants to do is sit back and capitulate, you know, like, oh, the refs want to like hold this power over me. You know what? No, I'm going to talk more. And if I get 0 free throws a game, then I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to make it a whole big thing. I'm going to make it an issue and I'm going to put the spotlight on them. Now I'm just kind of like projecting. I'm not so sure that he would ever think that, but I've been around Jaylen Brown a lot. I've seen his personality. I would not be surprised if he's sitting there saying like, you know what? I'll sacrifice my free throws to make this a big deal. So whatever this is, it needs to end like I don't want this to become that. I want Jaylen Brown to go to the free throw line a normal amount of times and be done. So I don't like where this is going with the constant back and forth and getting calls, not getting calls or anything like that. But I don't want people to think like I'm complaining about the refs. The officiating had nothing to do, I think, with the result of this game. Although, shout out to Joe Mazzulla, who, you know, on the play where Derrick got, you know, Dante DiVincenzo, I think it was, he bumped him. Derrick fell, and Joe was like, yeah, you know, it was a nice tackle there. You know, it was 1st and 10. They get a nice tackle for a loss. You know, our offensive line's got to be better. It's a great line. It's a great line from Joe. Celtics versus the refs is going to be a fun little side plot to all of this. But the reason why the Celtics lost is they got away from attacking offensively, the things that worked. And that kind of dovetailed into a lot of missed shots, and the missed shots lead to runouts and transition opportunities. And all of a sudden, the Timberwolves are cashing in on second chances, which they weren't able to do in the first half. And it kind of, obviously Anthony Edwards gets going. He had an awesome game, 39 points, 12 of 24 shooting, 10 of 11 from the line. Oh, Anthony Edwards gets to the line 11 times. How about that? But that like the Celtics getting away from things that worked is the biggest issue. Second chances, rebounding is timely bad rebounding was the biggest issue. Also, a lack of help. Let's get into individual performances. Jaylen Brown's performance, Neemias Queta, the guys that were good, not so good. That's coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Gusto. No one gets into business, starting their own business, because they love calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in. It takes the stress out of your payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business, supporting your team. That's what you're there for. Gusto is an all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platform. It makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place. No hassle, no hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. They've got automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, direct deposits, can save you hours every week. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. You'll get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time. That's Gusto, GUSTO.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's show is also brought to you by Wayfair. I had my wife literally today say, I think we need a bigger couch in this room. And I said, hey, Wayfair is a sponsor. Boom. Here we go. Here come the links to couches from Wayfair. It's super easy. They've got a Black Friday sale going on right now. I know we're going to have people over on Christmas. It's a big thing for us. And all month long, 70% off everything from those couches, sofas, spatulas, everything. We're about to upgrade a room. So I know Wayfair is going to be delivering something super fast shipping just in time for the holidays. Browsing through their site, super easy, nothing generic, quality designs. It feels personal. Whatever your style, whatever your price point, it's there. So if you've ever hosted family for the holidays, you know how much difference a few new touches can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on Black Friday deals. Again, 70% off at wayfair.com. That's amazing. Wayfair. Wayfair. Wayfair.com. Sale ends December 7th. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Also, thanks for making Locked On Celtics the #1 Boston Celtics podcast on the planet. And it's on the #1 sports podcast network on the planet. Yeah, Locked On is #1 now because of you, the everydayer, people who are with us Monday through Friday. Thank you so much. Can't do it without you. I appreciate you being here on a daily basis. If you're new, become an everydayer, subscribe. Show is free. It's available everywhere. Hop into the comment section on YouTube. That's a great place to join your fellow Celtics fans. I love seeing those threads showing up, people replying to one another. Make it a home for where you want to go communicate with other Celtics fans. All right, individual performances in this game has to start with Jaylen Brown. 41 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. No one in the history of the Boston Celtics has put up those exact numbers. 41, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals. No one's done that. If you do 40, 5, 5, 5, you just put the sliders back a little bit. Larry Bird's done that. So in all of, we talk about Jayson Tatum doing stuff that only Larry Bird has done. Let's give Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown's gotten the primary handling, primary responsibilities, and now he's doing something that only Larry Bird has done. In fact, Larry Bird has never done this exact thing. I love moving the sliders. We do that all the time. We love doing that. Plug these numbers in. Oh, nobody. But Great game from Jaylen. 17 of 32, 53%, 45% from three, only 2 of 4 from the free throw line is what it is there. 4 turnovers, not a big deal there. So, what more can you say, man? Jaylen's out there dancing. I was joking around on Boston Sports Journal where I said if he wants to promote his shoes a little bit better, he could just partner with Arthur Murray and sell him his dancing shoes. He's out there doing he's doing James Harden stuff. He's like the little TikTok dribble between his legs, the little step backs. Amazing stuff. Like this was just a Jaylen in his bag completely in this game. Followed closely behind by Neemias Queta, career high 19 points. That ties a career high. 18 rebounds, 8 of those offensive rebounds, a couple of blocks. Just right place, right positioning. He has improved incredibly, no doubt about it. He's, even those little things that I still look at and say, I don't like this, but it's not doing what it used to do. Those little things that I used to say, okay, this is making him do this. This is bad. He's kind of getting through those. I think he's starting to learn how to play as Neemias Queta. You know what I mean? Like he's okay. So he's a little awkward. He's a little funny. I don't think he moves in the smoothest way out there, but before, I think that used to cost him. Now he's just kind of rolling with it, and he's better. This was a really good game. And what else can you say? 19 points, 18 rebounds. Can't argue with 19 points and 18 rebounds. So Neemi was really good. Shout out to Sam Hauser for the 14 points on 4 of 10 shooting from 3. Still not consistent like crazy, but any kind of shooting that you're just looking for these guys to start stacking up these shooting nights. Sam, they need Sam to start stepping up here and getting consistent shooting. Same with Derrick, same with Payton. So 19 points for Derrick, 9 for Payton Pritchard. Pritchard goes 4 of 14, 1 of 8 from 3. Derrick White, 6 of 16, 2 of 8 from 3. So 10 of 30 overall from these two guys, 3 of 16, even though Derrick did hit one as part of a 12-0 run. Celtics were up by 10 at halftime. They were down 1 or 2 after 3. They were down 12 at one point in the fourth quarter. As soon as they fell down 12, big time run, 12-0 run to tie it back up. Then Mike Conley hits a 3. After being targeted all night, Mike Conley turns around and hits a 3 that breaks the tie. And then Anthony Edwards hits the dagger. But Derrick White did hit a 3 in that stretch. So that part was good, but this is inconsistent here. And this will bring us into, in a minute, the next segment, where's Jaylen Brown's help? These are the two guys that need to step up and help Jaylen on a consistent basis. At the same time, it's hard for them to do that because you've got guys like Josh Minott, who in the third quarter had a stretch in the third quarter that was really good, but then he had some real kind of not great stretches, which I'll talk about in the next segment. Luka Garza played 5 minutes in this game. 5 minutes? Is that really? Yeah, 5 minutes. 1 shot, which was a 3, but that was it. Jordan Walsh got into foul trouble, played 20 minutes, didn't really play much in the second half, got a 4th foul early in the third quarter, and that was it. Jordan did nothing, even though he started, I think it's the seventh straight game starting. Not great. Not a great game for him at all. Anthony Simons, where was he in this one? 5 points, 2 of 4. Where's the help? Where's the help? That's the question here. You look at these performances, you need something from Jordan. You need something from Simons. Definitely need something from Simons. You need something more from Minott. Baylor Shireman had a good first half, but overall, just 3 points. But in the second quarter, his second quarter stretch was like the same as the second quarter stretch against Detroit, where he comes in and the game changed completely at the beginning of the second quarter. He didn't do anything after that, really, but he was good in that stretch. But, nothing. No Gonzalez, he didn't play. Amari Williams, after being intriguing, he didn't play. Jaylen Brown did a lot. 41 points. And he just didn't get enough help. You can't rely. You're not going to get 19 points a game from Neemias Queta. You're not. He did a great job crashing and had some crazy putbacks, catching an air ball, all that crazy stuff. But you can't count on that. It's not going to happen on a daily basis. Pritchard and White have to be the guys, but can they be the guys? And it's not because of their ability or not ability. It's because of how the Celtics are built. We'll talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. We're smack in the middle of NBA season. We're heading into December. We're starting to see exactly who every team is. So this is a great time to start looking at that and going, okay, I know who these guys are. Maybe you can make a couple of bucks off of that. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you miss the start of the game, no big deal. They have live bets on everything. So who's going to score next? Who's going to score? Who's going to have the big fourth quarter comeback? It's all there. Plus, you can combine live bets into a same game parlay. That gives you a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting. So if your team's making a late push, that applied to both Minnesota and the Celtics in this one, then you can get in on the action. Right now, you get a $300 in bonus bets if you're a new customer and your first $5 bet wins. So you put $5 down on something, make it a good one. You win, you get $300 in bonus bets. So go to FanDuel.com to sign up right now. When you sign up, when you log in, it'll say, set your budget, set your limits. Please do that because that's going to help you gamble responsibly. Whatever you can afford to lose, that's what you set that number at, and then you're all set. They will help you in case you hit a cold streak, which happens to everybody. So sign up at FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You can check out Locked On NBA Game Night. They are 7 days a week, not a bonus podcast. That's just a podcast, 7 days a week. Locked On NBA Game Night covers the whole league. So go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Plus, you get the Locked On NBA podcast, the daily Monday through Friday, covering all the big stories in the league. All right. Jaylen Brown needs help, and he's not getting it, and he might not get it, at least not for a while. So Jaylen is doing, he's having the most amazing season to start. It's not December yet, so things can change. He's hitting 55% on step back jumpers. He shot 31% last year. He's been at 33, 32, 38 the previous year. So in 5 years, this is a big jump. So either this is a huge improvement, or there's some regression coming. So either way, either Jaylen's doing all of this stuff and the Celtics are still 10-9 and he needs help, or there's a regression coming and Jaylen's not going to be able to carry them as this. He's the 8th leading scorer in the NBA in terms of points per game. He's the 4th leading scorer in the NBA in terms of total points. How long can he keep this up? Even if he keeps it up the whole season, he needs help. Send help. Derrick White's supposed to be that guy. Payton Pritchard's supposed to be the next guy. Now, part of it is their own inconsistency. We're counting on you guys, right? That's the counting on you guys to kind of help him out. And then some games they're shooting well and some games they're not. At the same time, it's hard to be the second, third leading scorer when you've got all these other guys. You don't know who's going to be around you. Let's be honest here. Some nights you started out with Josh starting. Now Jordan is starting. He hasn't exactly been great. You had Amari Williams come in, and you're playing with Amari Williams all of a sudden. Now you're not. Now Luka Garza's in. He was playing great. Now he's not. Queta was in, he missed the game, but like Neemias Queta, you're starting to figure that out. And then, who am I playing? Oh, now we're going small. Now Josh Minot is the center. It's Josh is all of a sudden we're doing small ball, which I agree with, but we sit there and we go, look, wow, the small ball worked. And let's do more of that. These guys haven't practiced small ball. How much center has Josh Minot played in his life? Right? Maybe a little bit as a kid, probably, because he's a big dude, tall, but he's not a center. He hasn't even played. Like he got to Boston because he didn't play in Minnesota. Now he's in Boston and they threw him in a small ball lineup, and he's like, the Celtics are like, oh, that actually kind of worked a little bit. Let's keep doing that. So then you go to this game, and late in the game, it was 96-94. We're in the fourth quarter. And the lineup is Anthony Simons, Baylor Shireman, Payton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Josh Minot. So Anthony and Payton are your main guys, right? Those are your creators. Sam and Baylor are your spacers, and Josh is your center. So Josh is running pick and roll. He's going to run pick and roll with Payton Pritchard, except he doesn't roll. Joe Mazzulla, first thing in the clip, he's like, Josh, go. And then Josh sets the pick and he goes, roll, Josh, roll. No roll. Then a couple seconds later, roll. And then Josh looks at the bench. He's confused. And then Joe says, roll, Josh. He keeps telling him roll. And he just stands there. And then eventually he cuts. But then he cuts in the path of Payton Pritchard. So Pritchard's trying to create. And the whole thing is blown up. And then you go down the other end. They turn the ball over. The Timberwolves turn the ball over, thankfully. And you see Joe very demonstratively say, pick, roll. And it's basic, but also Josh isn't a center. So how basic is it? He's still learning that. He's still, oh yeah, that's right. I'm a big, I gotta, in this situation, I have to roll. I'm not popping in this situation. What is Payton Pritchard supposed to do? Clock's running down. Okay, I'm going up against, Naz Reid? Whoever is going up against a much bigger guy. And the whole play disintegrates. The whole thing gets clunky. Now, at that point, whose fault is it? It's Josh's, because he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. He can't figure it out. That's not what this team is built to do. This team is Brad Stevens put a bunch of guys together, and basically this is an 82-game episode of Chopped for Joe Mazzulla. He's like, oh, let's see. I got a Josh Minot and a Baylor Shireman and a Amari Williams. How am I supposed to make this work? And we're all watching these games geez, why doesn't this plate of food taste great? Why doesn't this offense look good? And then we sit there and look at Derrick White and be like, do something. And he's like, I'm trying. I want to so bad. And some of it is he needs to shoot better for sure. There's his responsibility is his responsibility. And it's we talk about killer whales. And what I came up with on Boston Sports Journal was it's not even the killer whale offense anymore. When it happens like this, it becomes the border collie offense, because it's a couple of smart dogs out there, Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, and then a bunch of chickens, right? It's just a bunch of dudes running around, it seems like sometimes, and they're still not 100% sure where they're supposed to be. And the border collies are trying to herd everything. You're like, no, we go this way. This is what we do. And then we look at if a chicken runs off and gets, picked off, we're like, hey, that's the dog's fault. Even though they're trying. And this is why the help is going to be so hard for Jaylen Brown, because on top of these guys having their own responsibilities, they have to have they got different guys out there all the time. Who's in the corner? Okay, it's Sam, it's Baylor, it's Josh, it's Jordan. Different guys doing different things. One guy has a sense of timing of when to cut. One guy has no sense of timing of when to cut. One guy wants to flare out. One guy wants to go baseline. They're supposed to be making certain reads, but they also have their own level of instincts. They read the things a little bit differently. When they decide to go is like a hair different, and that throws off the offense. What I'm saying is Derrick and Payton, yes, they have to be better, but also it's so hard for them to be good because this team isn't built for them to be in their wheelhouse. And that's, part of it, my own mistake of evaluating what this was going to be, heading into the season is I didn't take that into account. And I don't think a lot of people do. That Payton and Derrick and Sam and all these guys, it's still 19 games. And maybe by game 29 or 39, these guys will figure it out. And it's kind of a testament to how good some of these guys are that they've floated at or above 500 for as much as they have this season. It's hard for them to be the type of help that they need to be for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen's awesome. Jaylen has been amazing this season. There is the potential for some regression because he's just shooting out of his mind. The mid-range shooting, the step-back shooting is elite level. That's Kevin Durant stuff that he's doing. As the season rolls on, is he going to get tired? Is he going to start getting those little nagging injuries? It's going to take something off of his jump. Is it going to force an adjustment? Is he going to hit a little bit of a cold streak? Everybody does. This team just needs to figure it out. I don't know if I want to say it's like consistent rotations, but you can't even have consistent rotations because if Jordan sucks, then you can't keep playing him. You got to give Josh a chance. And if Josh sucks, you got to give Jordan another chance, or Baylor's getting a chance. And each one of those guys is going to be great for a few games, and then each one of them is going to suck in a particular game. You're going to be like, well, I can't play him now. And you got to go with somebody else. And if somebody sprains an ankle like Neemi did, you throw in Amari Williams. You're like, all right, let's try this. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But each game is going to be so different. It's not like last year where you always knew, even when you plugged in a couple of different guys, there were so many guys out there that knew what they were doing. It was easy to kind of fix the one guy that's just straying a little bit. Had a very specific job. So much harder now. So we'll see. Tough loss for them, but losing to Minnesota, we all knew it was possible. Like that's Minnesota's a good team, even though they had the same record coming in. Minnesota's a good team. And it's not going to get any easier. Cleveland, Sunday, 6:00. You turn right around and play another great team. We'll see how now the Celtics have already beaten Cleveland once, so we'll see how it goes. But we'll see. We'll see. Some of these games, all of these guys will put it together and they'll look great. And if Anthony and Josh and Baylor are playing well, then there's a good chance you're winning that game because you're not border collies herding chickens. The chickens are kind of like in line on their own. But if they're not, then better hope that Payton and Derrick are having great shooting nights. And they do need to be more consistent on that end. Because if they're not, then you're not going to come all the way back. Like the Celtics had a chance in this one. Tough loss. All right, I'll be back tomorrow after the Cavs game. So make sure you're subscribed. Thank you for being here. But this podcast just flew by for me. It feels like I've been talking for 5 minutes, but it's been almost 35. So I'm going to wrap it up saying thank you very much. Make sure you're in the YouTube comments. Give me your thoughts on that. And I'll see you after the Cavs game. Make sure you're telling everybody, all your friends, all your family, when you see them during the holidays, that they should be listening to and watching. Tell them they got to be listening to, they got to be watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day.